Welcome to the Everyday Leader podcast, where conversations inspire action, growth, and impact. Hosted by two passionate leaders, Shannon and Conrad, this podcast is for those who strive to lead with purpose and integrity in their life. Whether you're navigating big decisions, seeking balance, or dreaming of creating change, we're here to help explore the tools, stories, and insights that help everyday leaders thrive. Join us each episode as we dive into the art of leadership at work, at home, and in the world. Because leadership isn't a title, it's a way of being.
All right.
Hey,
Well,
Shannon.
hi.
Okay.
Hey. Here we are.
Yes, here we are. Great to be with you on this Everyday Leader podcast as we explore the question we have for today.
Yeah. Today we're talking about feedback. Let's set it up. Let's see.
Yeah.
So
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, the word has been used in a lot of different ways. So I want to name that, like, what's the first thing, and I'm curious for you, when you hear that word feedback, what does that evoke in you, Shannon?
Yeah, I think it's like this feeling of it actually feels like I feel like a lot of expectation actually, and it feels very formal. I think coming from different organizations and institutions where feedback was this very formalized, could be formalized. It can be informal or formal, right? But it just feels kind of like heavy, and it feels boring, and it feels like just like something we all have to do, like another chore, actually.
Yeah.
Like another chore. We have to give it and we have to receive it. It's like we have to. It's like a have to kind of thing.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, underlining heavy, formal, have to. And you also made that distinction right away, is formal feedback versus informal feedback. So some organizations have a system for giving feedback around performance. And we want to, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. We want to talk about it from the context, from the lens of leadership. What's it like to get leadership feedback? Feedback on your leadership, feedback on your, I guess it's bottom line, your impact.
Yeah, well, and here, let's say this, right? That I think when we talk about feedback, we often think about those systems, right? Those systems of feedback. And then we take our eye off of the richness that is possible when we hold it as something that we are responsible for, like in our world, right? Sharing how people are impacting us and also receiving that. So there is this I think because we're so used to it, right? We're also so used to somebody else telling us, oh, it's time to provide feedback, or
Yeah.
it's time to receive feedback, that even hearing you in the way that you just described it just felt so much more opening and transparent and rich and interesting, right? And that it's not something that you wait on, or that you have to wait for.
Right. And that's that informal approach, and that is really rich, and it's for the sake of growing another human being, expanding their awareness, pointing for areas for them to grow, areas where they're shining. That's the other thing that gets collapsed in the word feedback often, is this negative, or like these are the things you're doing inadequately or unskillfully or wrong.
Yeah.
So just naming that is, we like to broaden that out, as that's one element of feedback is an improvement area or a place where they can expand or grow.
Yeah.
But that's not a holistic approach either.
Right. It's not. So what are some things that we can do? Well, and there's so many things going on in my mind right now too, right? There's so many reasons that as leaders we just don't receive feedback ad hoc. And one of the reasons I think is because of some kind of a power dynamic, right? Like I work with different institutions or nonprofits or higher ed institutions where the person who is in charge is they there's not a real system for them to receive input and feedback from the rest of the team that's not structured, right?
Yeah.
Because of a power dynamic. So power dynamic can get in the way inside of a culture or a relationship that prevents that maybe natural sharing of feedback. So I want to acknowledge that because I think then it's like, oh, well, as a leader, people should just feel like they can tell me whatever they feel like they need to tell me and say whatever they need to say, right? I'm open to it. I'm open. I'm curious. I'm a self-aware leader. So if somebody needs something from me or has some feedback, of course, they can just share it with me. And I think we have to acknowledge that oftentimes like leaders in different contexts are not getting feedback because of the power dynamic. And I think generally people are aware of that, but it makes it even more important then as the leader that you find ways to solicit that and request it.
Yeah, that's beautiful that you're bringing this in, Shannon, the power dynamic and using the skill uh, of permission. It could look something like this: is like, hey, Shannon, I've got some feedback for you. I don't know when is a good time for us to discuss that. And if you're open for it, I'd love to offer it. So it's like enrolling or gaining permission to offer feedback because it can be hard to receive or offer either way. So in those power dynamics, it's like, yes, notice where it is, what's at play in the system, what's at play in the relationship. And two things I want to underline. One, feedback is an offer. Two, find the space and solicit permission or enrollment to know when that is a good time for the person to receive it if you are giving it.
Yeah, I like that. It's consent.
Nice bottom line, Shannon.
Yeah,
Consent, right? And it's consent about is when, what's the space. So it's when and what space is needed for the person to receive it and give it. And it's also consent of the content, like framing that context first to say, I have some feedback about your leadership impact. I have some feedback around the way that you are showing up in these meetings, giving the person some context, some edges, and the space to be able to receive it.
Yeah, I think that's really important. What about requesting it as a leader?
Yeah, this is good because it's, hey, I'd love some feedback. I think it's so broad. Once again, it's being specific to say, I'd like some feedback about how I'm showing up in our meetings on Tuesday morning in the group huddle.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically where I can, where I'm shining and where can I improve as we roll out this new initiative. This is an example
Mm-hmm.
of that, like being really specific in that request to say
Mm-hmm.
it's about this, it's about, or it's about what I'm working on as a leader. Hey, Shane, I'm really working on my active listening and just want to see if you have any pointers for me. I know you were in the meeting with me yesterday and just want to know more about how I'm showing up in my skill of active listening.
Yes, that's great.
So let's see where we are so far. Consent And what else? Specific?
Yeah. Consent. And within consent, right? It's the timing, the when and the where, right? It's not the what,
Yes.
because you are going to share the feedback. So that's one, if you're offering. And that it's this invitation, permission, consent. And then the second piece is when you want to like receive or request feedback, it's the specificity, being specific about what it is you want feedback on, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, hey, how am I doing?
Right.
Right.
Right. Or if the person giving it is like, hey, I have some feedback for you, Shannon. You ready? Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's not the right situation, space, or time for that.
What's some of the homework, Conrad, that you've given clients around this topic
Mm.
or that you've created with clients for this topic?
Yeah, we've co-created one client I'm thinking of specifically wanted to offer their colleague feedback, and they were having a tough time figuring out the energy to bring. So this we're talking about the structure, Shannon and I are, but there's also they felt uncomfortable. They felt like they were gonna come from a place of judgment, or like, how do I bring feedback energetically as well? So the homework for them was to be specific, as well as look at coming from a place of unconditional positive regard for that other human being. And it's not about what they were doing per se, it was about who they are. So that was the shift that they created. And we worked together on. It's like, okay, that's the impact and that's what's happening. Now look at the person and how do you want to grow them? How do you want to offer this? Because they were unaware. It was an area of unconscious impact that they were creating. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so the bottom line with that was the energetic come from, as well as the structure.
Yeah, there's that coming from a place of care, commitment, compassion.
Correct. Yeah, the courageousness too. They knew they wanted to stand their words for their leader within their self authority, their wise knowing self, in order to have courage and compassion to offer this feedback.
Yeah. I'm finding too, just to add on to that, because I think there's and maybe just this is more in the land of structure. I probably have more in my experience, I probably work more with clients who have the caring, have the compassion, and as a result,
Mm,
they're avoiding providing feedback.
mm.
They're avoiding offering feedback. They'll offer positive feedback and acknowledgement and
Ah,
championing,
right.
right? But there's sort of a harder, it is challenging to offer something that's constructive or something that's a challenge or something that's not going right. So the structure that I use, and I think you probably use this structure too, Conrad, is for the person to actually write down the script of what
Yeah.
they want to say, because the care and the compassion is always there in the background. And for that script to be, hey, I noticed XYZ, and that is specific, right? Or I'm noticing XYZ, fill in the blank. And the impact is like, we're talking a lot about impact. That's the important piece, right? Not just like,
Yes.
hey, I noticed that every time you leave the kitchen, the dishes are on the sink. Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay. Well, the impact is this
Right.
the ants are coming into the house and I have to stop what I'm doing and can't then spend time doing other things that I need to do for the family in order to take care of those dishes. Right. So the impact. And then,
Yeah.
okay, then there's a conversation, right? The person's going to respond. They're going to have something to say about it. And then there's a request.
Right.
Right.
That's
Maybe
good.
maybe it's a request, or maybe it's the co-creation of some kind of a solution in terms of what's next, but it's there. And then there's an accountability plan behind it. So
Yeah.
that's there too. And what I find is that in working through the script, what happens is that the person who wants to offer the feedback is able to reorient, or able to orient then to why is sharing this hard thing important?
Mm.
And they discover that it's actually a very caring offer, right? What they discover is that it actually is in service of the person, in service of the team, in service of their family, in service of the organization. And that is really compelling, as opposed to feeling like it's just their ego or their individual opinion that's driving feedback, right? No, it's actually for the sake of something. That's why they're compelled to say something.
Yeah. Higher cause.
Yeah.
It's an orientation to that. Nice. So that's what we know so far about feedback. Consent. We talked about consent, power dynamics. We talked about several structures. Shannon just offered another structure to write it down, look at the impact, focus on the bigger picture. And the energetic come from too. Those C's, that courageousness, compassion, caring, curiosity, right? Remembering those 5 C's. I think that was 5, maybe it's 4 or 5 C's. I'm sure there's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's deeper than just, the flat, boring thing that we have to do. It's much more rich and dynamic, and it helps us to, create the relationships we want to be in and the world we want to be in. And this is the thing, like, you have to practice. That's the big takeaway is that, like, and for anyone who's listening, is like, you just have to practice. You have to do it. That's what makes it easier. That's what makes it more fluid. That's what makes it feel like it's not feedback. Like, it's actually just a conversation that needs to happen.
And for those of you out there too who receive feedback, this is for the receivers. Know that it is an offer, and know that you're a conscious choice to take in what's yours to grow with and recycle or compost the rest. All feedback, as a receiver, holding that as an offer, holding that as well as an offer, and you get to choose, holding the other person as they are, because it's really easy as a receiver to go into self judgment or diminishing behaviors, knowing like, okay, this is mine. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna choose this. I'm gonna be accountable to this. Actually, this is not mine. Making that distinction is like, I appreciate them offering it, but that's not mine for today.
Yeah.
And of course, we welcome and would be honored to receive your feedback, dear listeners out there, for us in any. I guess we should be specific, Shannon. Don't want to just be vague and say, "Hey, offer us any feedback." About the request is feedback on. What you got, Shannon? There's a couple of things bubbling for me. I'm curious.
Well, I think the feedback is like, when you listen to this podcast, what's working? What are you taking? What's helpful about it? And what do you want more of? What do you want less of? And I mean, it's not specific, right? But like anything else. But it's like, when you listen to these episodes, what are you getting out of them? What do you want more of? What do you want less of?
Yeah. Love it.
All right. Well, thanks, Conrad. This was awesome.
Thanks, Shannon. That's always good to be in conversation with you, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Until then, be well, everybody. Bye.